Today, we seek justice in the murder of 17-year-old Hae-Min Lee, who was murdered by manual strangulation on January 13, 1999, and whose body was found on February 9, 1999, and the subsequent arrest of Adnan Syed. But we do not have the correct perpetrator. Adnan Syed is innocent of this crime. Adnan Syed cannot be proved guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, as shown through the inconsistencies in the testimony of the prosecution's star witness, the state's faulty timeline, and the lack of physical evidence connecting Adnan Syed to the case. Conviction should not be based off of one single piece of evidence, such as Jay's testimony. Even the prosecution stated that this case hinges on his testimony. Yet, we know that Jay has every motivation to lie and no motivation to tell the truth. He is not a credible witness. Jay has demonstrated a history of lying to the police and detectives. In his third interview and police statement, Jay admitted that he lied on the 2 previous occasions to cover up the fact that he bought and sold marijuana. Also, in another taped interview with the police, Jay says he lied about the location of the murder because he was concerned there would be video footage at the Best Buy showing who committed the murder. It is obvious to Jay that the police are looking at him as a suspect, and Jay is willing to repeatedly lie to the cops to avoid getting in trouble. He lied to them about many things. If he would lie to the police, why would he not lie in court about who committed the murder to protect himself? There are many inconsistencies in Jay's testimony. Some are small and understandable, but others are very significant and confounding. Jay changes his story about when he knew Adnan was going to murder Hae, the timeline of events on that day, and Jay even lies about the location of the murder. It is evident Jay is fabricating a story of the events on January 13th, not telling the truth. The only facts from Jay's testimony that are corroborated show his involvement in the murder, not Adnan's. Jay is the one who shows the police the location of Hae's car, and Jay's story of the burial of Hae does indeed match what the police discovered at the scene. He even acted like he had something to hide about the death of Hae-Min Lee. Jay's testimony may have had some loose consistencies with the cell records, but overall, Jay's story and the cell phone records do not match for over 6 hours, from 12:07 to 6:07. The cell phone records are not corroborative evidence or evidence that shows the witness is telling the truth because it is not independent from the testimony. Jay was told by the police during taped interviews what portions of his story were contradicted by the cell phone records. That does not work. Jay cannot be trusted as a credible witness, and his testimony cannot be trusted as the truth. Based upon his general character and his own motivation to lie and avoid punishment, and the lack of strong corroboration by other independent evidence. The state's timeline is also not accurate based on statements from the witnesses. Jay and Jen's testimony both state that he left Jen's house at 3:45 on January 13th, when he receives the alleged call from Adnan. Yet, because there is not an incoming call around 3:45 on the call log, the prosecution must use the 2:36 call on the log. The state alleges that Hae was murdered by 2:36, but that is not a fact. Also, if we are to believe that Hae died between 2:36 and 3:45 on January 13th, then Adnan was at the Woodlawn Public Library from 12:15 to 3:30 that day, and then at track practice from 3:30 to 5. The fact is, people can lie in court even under oath. It is very difficult to discern when people are lying, but physical evidence stands for itself. There was no physical evidence connecting Adnan Syed to the case. No DNA, no fiber, no hairs, and no matching soil on Adnan's boots matching the soil found at the site of Hae's burial. There is no proof that Adnan Syed murdered Hae-Min Lee. Simply, the detectives arrested Adnan because of what Jay told them. And as stated above, what Jay told them was a lie. And members of the jury, it is your duty to decide the facts of this case and to apply the law to those facts. You should not be swayed by sympathy or prejudice. We should remember what the law requires of you as a jury member. A defendant should be acquitted if, at the conclusion of a criminal trial, a reasonable doubt remains as to his guilt. In other words, if there is a real possibility that Adnan is not guilty, you must give him the benefit of the doubt and find him not guilty. Based on all of the evidence brought forth in this trial, reasonable doubt still remains. Among the injustices inflicted upon society by individuals, the conviction of an innocent person should seem to be the greatest of them all. Society itself suffers harm from a wrongful conviction because the real criminal remains at large. We must not wrongfully convict Adnan Syed because he is innocent. Justice will not be served with a wrongful conviction. Adnan Syed is an honest, intelligent, trustworthy young man who has been wrongfully accused of a horrific crime. As his guidance counselor stated in a college recommendation letter, whatever his assignment, Adnan strives for excellence at all times. His teachers remark that he's a bright, conscientious, and hardworking student who approaches his studies with sobriety. Does this sound like a cold-hearted killer? There are so many character references for Adnan. Even Hay states in her journal referring to Adnan, "I swear, he is the sweetest guy ever." Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Adnan Syed is innocent. You must do what the law requires of you and vote to acquit this young man.